Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you another top 10 video, and this top 10 video is actually a tag video as well. I was tagged in this video by 101 Bronson. I will leave a link in the description below to his channel and his tag video as well. Please head over there and offer your support and subscribe to his channel. He does some really good content, so make sure you go over there and do that. Now this is a top 10 list with a little bit of a difference. It is my top 10 favourite film from 10 different genres. So we have horror, animated, drama, comedy, science fiction, action, comic book, western, romantic comedy, or romance, sorry, and adventure film. So it's going to be my favourite film for each one of these genres, and I have to say, guys, not as easy as it sounds. Multiple of these categories, I had multiple films, and it took me a little bit of time to figure out which one I was going to put at number one. But I do hope you enjoy this top 10 list. And obviously I would love to hear yours in the video below, so thanks for watching everybody. Right, so the first one is horror, and for me it came down to a few different options. I love The Exorcist, I love Alien, I love American Werewolf in London, I love The Conjuring, Blair Witch Project. There's an awful lot of horror films that I really enjoy. For me though, the ultimate one is still John Carpenter's The Thing. For me it is just a masterpiece of horror. It's so effective still to this day. The effects in it surpass much of the CGI you see in many films these days. John Carpenter is a genius director. Kurt Russell is perfect in this film, and it's a great film that really explores paranoia and distrust and fear. And at the end of the day, well, it's just so bloody effective and really freaked me out as a kid, and I still love it as I watch it today. Now, my favourite animated film, this was probably, as daft as it sounds, the most difficult category to choose from. I do watch a decent amount of animation films. I watch quite a lot of the DC animated films and I review them on the channel. I don't have a hatred of animation or anything like that, and I watched so many when my son was younger, I can't tell you. And anybody with kids, you'll know what I mean. You sit through a lot of animated films, so I've been through them all. You name it, the Toy Stories, the Monsters Inc., Tangled, you name it, I've sat through them all with my son Jake. But I'm going to have to go with Ice Age, and the reason being is he used to love the Ice Age films, and we used to watch them consistently over and over again. And they are actually really very good films, and very funny too. So the first one still holds a special place in my heart, which is why I have chosen the first Ice Age for my animated film. Drama next. Now, for me, there can only be one greatest drama of all time. It has to be Shawshank Redemption. For me, it's in the conversation of the greatest film of all time, never mind the greatest drama of all time. It's a spectacular film that many people missed the first time round in the cinema. It's one of those that grabbed its audience long after its cinema release, and it is beloved all across the world, and rightfully so. It is a stunning film with incredible performances that invokes so many emotions when you watch it. It's a deeply upsetting film, it's a deeply uplifting film, and it's just a really special film. And for me, there was no question that Shawshank Redemption had to be the film of choice in the drama section. There was no other consideration as far as I'm concerned. It is the number one. Favourite comedy now. For me, again, this was one that I put quite a bit of thought into, but the one that just kept sticking in my mind, if someone ever says to me, what's your favourite comedy, the first thing that pops in my mind is always Arthur. The Dudley Moore classic. I just love it. I even quite like the sequel, even though not many people do. I love Dudley Moore. I'm a big fan of Dudley Moore. I think he was a comedy genius. And this, for me, was his maximum opus, this film. It was just genius performance. He plays, in my opinion, the best on-screen drunk ever, and the chemistry between him and Liza Minnelli was lightning in a bottle, and also his chemistry with John Gielgud was lightning in a bottle. It's hilarious. It's also it's funny, but it's got a real heart at the centre of it, which drives the film forward. Fantastic. Science fiction. Now, probably my first impression was to say Star Wars, as many people probably will, because it's the first film I ever saw at the cinema. It means an awful lot to me, Star Wars. But again, when I actually think about it for a few seconds, it has to be Blade Runner. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's been massively influential to science fiction in general. It's flawless, and it also delivered a staggeringly superb sequel, Blade Runner 2049, which was a stone cold. They're both, for me, stone cold 10 out of 10s, both the films. But the original, for me, just does it for me. I mean, Harrison Ford is fantastic. Rutger Hauer is on another level. It's paced just right. It looks spectacular, and for me, it's what sci-fi is all about. It's still slightly grounded as well, which is brilliant. Action next, and I have noticed on a couple of videos that this has been chosen by some, and it's going to be chosen by me as well. It has to be Predator, my favourite Arnie film, and when I was younger, it was essentially my favourite film of all time. Predator. I'm not sure I would say the same now, but it would be in the conversation for me. It's perfect. There's no faults in it, you know. It's a great action film first, science fiction film second, and horror film third. It dips its toes in many different genres. It was one of the first films that showed the vulnerability of Arnold, because he was out muscled in this film, and that was a big selling point for many. But he still manages to be completely badass. The other characters in the film as well were brilliantly portrayed, and I think it is just an absolute masterpiece. So my favourite action film has to be Predator. My favourite comic book film, and I'm with you on this one, 101 Bronson, Superman the movie. A close second is The Dark Knight, I think. Let's be honest, we have been spoilt for choice this last decade and a half in regards to comic book movies. There's been some absolute brilliantly done ones over the years by DC and Marvel, but for me, though, again, it's just an emotional response for me. Christopher Reeve is Superman. As great as Henry Cavill is, and he really, really is a fantastic Superman, it was perfect casting for that as well, for the modern Superman. Christopher Reeve will always be Superman. Richard Donner and the other cast members in the original Superman the movie took something that many people probably scoffed at the time and turned it into a really epic film that had to be taken seriously, and it's just massively entertaining too. My favourite Western now of all time, and again, I was a little bit spoilt for choice here. I do like a good Western. It's not my favourite genre, but when I watch a Western and it's done well, I'm really invested. And for me, it's The Outlaw Josie Wales. I think it's Clint Eastwood's finest Western, and he's made some absolutely brilliant ones over the years. I used to watch this one with my dad when I was younger, and it just had such an impact on me watching this with my dad when it came on telly. It was probably edited to be a bit tamer on telly in those days. I don't really remember. I just remember my dad totally loving it, and me too. It was my first introduction to westerns, this film, and my love of this film has remained throughout. A close second would be Tombstone, the Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer film. I think that's a modern masterpiece, and I think many people underrate that film, but it's a brilliant, brilliant western. But this is definitely my number one. My favourite romantic film, I'm going to give As Good As It Gets. Strictly speaking, I guess you could say it's a romantic comedy, but it is still a romance film. I'm not one of these that will just watch a full-on romance film, as many people have said in their videos, like The Notebook or something like that. It's just not my bag. But As Good As It Gets is as close to a romance film as I'm going to get, certainly watching it. And I think it's It's got two of the finest performances I have ever seen put to screen, especially Jack Nicholson's performance as Melvin is pitch perfect, and I think some of his scenes in this film I think are the finest acting I've ever seen. It's just, it takes your breath away. Is that good in this film? Helen Hunt is incredible. They've got great chemistry. The film is very, very funny, but it's a real emotional high, and there's some lovely, lovely romantic moments in it, which is why I have chosen it. And my favourite adventure film of all time, and I have seen some people say the same, Indiana Jones, specifically Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think it is the best Indiana Jones film. Again, it's perfection. It's a 10 out of 10 if I was to review this film on the channel. It's one of those early cinema experiences where I didn't know what to expect being taken to the cinema to watch this film, and it's one of those that just mesmerised me as a youngster at the cinema. It is still fantastic to watch today. It's aged beautifully, mainly from the time setting that it's been set in. Harrison Ford is perfect as Indiana Jones, and for those of you who don't know, Tom Selleck was originally cast as Indiana Jones, and he couldn't commit to the role because of Magnum. But I'm pleased about that, because Harrison Ford, you can't imagine anybody else being Indiana Jones, and for me it's my favourite adventure film of all time. So there you go, guys. That is my top 10 favourite film from a specific genre. A really fun list to do, I have to be honest. Quite difficult, some of the choices too, because I've always struggled to make a decision on what my favourite film of all time is, or my favourite film of a certain genre is. It's very, very difficult to answer, but I've tried to be as honest as I can as my answers there. As this is a tag video, please feel free to do your own video either on your own YouTube channel and let me know, and I'll go and watch it, or let me know in the comments what your favourite films are from each genre. I would love to know that as well. So thanks for the tag, 101 Branson. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and of course I will be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.